One of the things that I truly honestly despise about white supremacy and white supremacist institutions and societies like America is that white supremacy gives all white people a sense of credibility. It gives them credence and it gives them identity, right? Whether they are white and poor, which is most white people. Let's be clear, there are only like 5 or 6 well-known, wealthy white families. The rest of you are not part of the 1%, and quite frankly, are probably not even part of the 100%. If we're keeping it a buck, you have to work for a living, and then when you retire, you have to rely on Social Security and Medicare so you don't die slowly, agonizingly, and painfully. But that's another discussion, right? So whether a white person is poor, whether they're disabled, whether they're LGBTQ plus, whether they have brown hair, whether they have blonde hair, they're still white, and their whiteness alone, because of centuries of oppression, gives them automatic credibility. It's an automatic, like, in club that they're all a part of. It's an open secret. It's a silent acknowledgement of identity amongst themselves. This is why so many of our Caucasian brothers and sisters were so adamant and so excited in the wake of Kamala Harris being the Democratic presidential nominee. And we're going to all those rallies and we had all these social media hashtags and trends and everything like that. The silent agreement among most white people was that, yeah, we're going to smile and, ooh, yeah, we're so excited. Yeah. But when we get in that voting booth, we need to lock in. Okay, because what white people won't openly admit is that in their minds, answering to a white fascist dictator like Trump is just a small price to pay for answering to someone who is in power who is still white. At the end of the day, losing their jobs, losing their health care, losing their social safety net, losing their footing, losing all their grounding, losing their families, their homes, their ability to eat, etc. Those are all just small prices to pay because most white people are quite content being oppressed if they're being oppressed by another white person. And if you don't believe me, look to two sources. One, the data from the exit polls breaking down who voted for Trump by race and by gender. And two, again, the same data from the exit polls looking at the number of college educated white women who voted for Trump. College educated white women who, by and large, pursue liberal arts and social science degrees, where they spend 4 years minimum talking about oppressive systems and institutions. So they should really know better. Not my laundry buzzer going off while I'm talking. Anyway, that's what I truly hate about white supremacy. It's an automatic in club, and everyone else is left out of it. That's why we don't celebrate like White History Month or what have you, is because whiteness is based on what you're not, as opposed to just a celebration of culture and traditions and survival in the face of certain autocratic regimes or the face of enslavement or Jim Crow laws or whatever. It's like an automatic in club for them. It's a silent agreement when they're in rooms with one another. It doesn't matter what they say they vote for, what platforms they publicly say that they support. When they get in that anonymous private voting booth, all that shit goes out the fucking window. Systemic institutionalized white supremacy is the sole reason why a country like America is simultaneously the wealthiest country in the world and simultaneously does not have any federal widespread social safety nets for its citizens, and the few social safety nets that are available, called entitlements, that we have to wait until old age to receive, are on the chopping block every single time a Republican comes into power. That is why we have countries who are communist countries, countries that are socialist, countries that don't touch America's GDP or military power or might, and yet their citizens have better qualities of life than America does. White supremacy is the reason why that is. White people who survived the first Trump administration looked around and said, my suffering is A-okay with me if black people are suffering too, if brown people and non-black people of color and immigrants are suffering too, right? Watching all those people being deported and having their heads shaved and being publicly dehumanized and sent off to God knows where to probably never be seen again, while white people are here sitting here wondering how they're going to pay their bills now that the government agency they worked for no longer exists, and the Medicare and the Social Security they live off of will soon no longer exist. That is A-okay with them. They will walk right into the gulag. They will walk right into the human concentration camps voluntarily, willingly, might I add, happily, if it means that the person running the concentration camp is another white person. They're okay with being oppressed. History has shown us this. The fact that there are still monarchies in European countries tells us this. Data from exit polls tells us this. It is just a small price to pay. That's why we can't get through to them with messaging or with statistics or with facts or with logical arguments. Nothing will get through to them because they don't want to be gotten through to. That's just it. So leave them. Leave them to suffer. And quite frankly, I'm beginning to agree with the Democrats and their kind of hands-off approach, because this cycle happens every single time, right? Republicans come in, slash funding to every fucking thing that's not war or business related, increase taxes on everyone except billionaires, and then the economy is in shite. Everything's a fucking mess. People become tired and elect a Democrat. A Democrat comes in, fixes the problem, and then institutes public policy that would positively impact everyone, including people who are not white, and put not white people in power. The same white people who are suffering under the Republican president now turn on the Democratic leadership, vote in another Republican, and then demand that Democrats turn around and save them. Like, lather, rinse, repeat is literally what that cycle is. So I agree with the Democrats. Hands off. Give the people exactly what they want. After all, who are we to argue with the will of tens of millions of Americans? At this stage, let America get exactly what America wants. That's all we can do. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.